Yeah, no, this book journey is as old as Isla. Isla is, I think, now, she just turned about, well, she'll be 20 months this month. Crazy, wow. And this book journey began while I was pregnant with Isla, and we had just moved cross country to Austin, Texas, and that's what I was sharing in the beginning, early on, it was the most chaotic and messy and magical time. And I think you don't realize that until you get into motherhood, that we think, things are messy and chaotic just in our personal lives, which they can be for sure. And I'm not discouraging that. I'm not honoring that, because I think I definitely had my messy moments after my divorce in my 30s, but it's definitely a different kind of messy. Because even last night we were preparing for all of this with the little ice storm that's coming up in Austin, and the roads are getting shut down, the schools are getting shut down, and we're like, oh my gosh, we have to do this like a very fancy live here, and we're like, okay, and the kids are going to be home, and my daughter, we went to bed late, and my daughter wakes up at 2 a.m. And, just one of those things, and she'll wake up in the middle of the night. And I think that's the beauty of these magical moments that suck. Like, you just can't control it. And, so many times we think that, or at least in my experience in my 20s, I needed to control everything. Because my upbringing was, I couldn't control what was happening all around me. And I think that's part of some of the things that I talk about in the book, and how many of us, we try to control our circumstances, we try to perfect everything, we try to perfect how we come across, and it's just, and something kind of world rocking kind of causes it to like go upside down and inside out, and you just have to say, all right, well, that sucked, now what? That sucked, now what? And there's a beautiful example of this, as it actually just happened recently, and I wanted to read that for us here, because it's not that after we know all of the tools of having to fly forward and that sucked, now what moments, that we are not going to be immune to sucky moments, because I think if we think that way, then this book is not going to do us service. This book is not going to do you justice. If we think that, we're never going to have sucky moments again. And this is chapter 14. So I had a great plan for this chapter, but that's not the chapter you're going to read. I can explain. I'd sketched out my vision for what I was going to write, a version of maintenance, a section of like a resilience fitness program. I drafted a bunch of the sections, I scheduled my block out, and I patted myself on the back for being so thorough, crushing my word count, even wrangling 2 small kiddos, and going through a huge launch for my business. All I needed was everything to keep humming along and basically coast at the end of the writing process. And then one of my employees quit. Not just quit, actually ghosted, with like 0 notice. And you know why? Because she'd read a draft of my book, this book, and realized she'd ignited. She needed a major change. She realized that she hadn't prioritized her self-care in a really long time. So good news, I knew the book was resonating. Bad news was my plan for this chapter and everything else that I was in the middle of went out the window. And plus, she didn't get to finish the rest of the book so she could learn how to fly forward when things actually would happen. So the moral of this story is that life just keeps on happening. The sucky, unexpected things will continue. And just when you think you've reached a place of perfection and balance, bam, life throws you a new surprise in the mix, and you have to scramble to redo your oh-so-perfect plans. How many of us resonate with that? Ooh, And our book is out. It is out. It is out everywhere. It is out on Amazon. It is out on Barnes & Noble. It is out globally. It's out on Kindle. So go ahead, grab it. That sucked. Now what? How to embrace the joy and chaos and find magic in the mess.